Welcome to Faith Talks Wood podcast. I'm Will from Flatwood Acres,
And I'm Tom from Mountain Valley Maker.
and we're a podcast talks about a little bit of everything, from Jesus to joinery. Tom, man, welcome back. It's funny because it's Monday night. We normally record Monday nights, and I just recorded Saturday. You had some stuff going on this weekend, and so I jumped on the mic and rambled for 45 minutes. So all of you that are listening to that, thank you for listening to my nonsense, but hopefully you all got something out of it. But welcome back, man.
Man, thank you. I appreciate you going solo for the weekend. My wife, as everybody knows, been in Arizona taking care of her mom, and she came home for just a few days, and was trying to spend as much time with her as possible, and she's headed back to Arizona for another couple weeks, and then hopefully it's going to be not quite 2 weeks, and if everything medically lines up, hopefully in about 2 weeks they'll be up here, moving her mom up here, and then my wife and her sister be able to care for her mom up here and take her to her medical appointments, won't have to live in Arizona. And so but we got a few things that got to fall into place medical wise to create all the time, even if when that'll happen. So, but as of right now, tentatively, in about 12 days, they'll be moving her up here. So,
Okay.
yeah, we'll see.
Any word on the house? Selling the house?
They had an offer from a couple from California, but it was conditioned upon their house in California.
Yeah, contingency.
So the area they're in, it's a lot of that. People getting the heck out of California, and but they like the climate, and so it's a really nice place where she lives in Prescott. But yeah, so need their house to sell quick and all that. That's going to be a mess because we have to then finish emptying out her house and
Right.
move up here, whatever's left. Is our goal is just sell everything that she doesn't absolutely need. Basically,
Yeah.
keep her clothes and linens, and let's sell everything else. But
Sell the rest of it. Yeah.
but yeah.
So, do you plan on making the trip with the box truck or something, or with your van? Or?
Well, what we're hoping is that, because she's so initially she was we were going to be moving her initially before we knew the health problems. We were going to take on our property and get like one of the she was just going to sell her house and then buy kind of like, they're not tiny homes, but like a lot of the manufactured homes make these like units that are to go park at a lake as like a little small vacation type thing. And we were going to put one of those on the property, and so she'd have her own space. Well, knowing her health situation, it does not make sense to spend the money on any of that. So then the second plan was me and my wife are going to move out of our bedroom and let her live in our room so that she'd have her own bathroom. And we were going to move in the guest room. And but my wife's, the way it looks like right now, my wife's sister, she's going to move in with my wife's sister. And so, they're just a couple. They have a bedroom in their master bath, and then their guest room has a bathroom right beside it. But the hospital is literally walking distance from their house. Like you would drive her there, but we could walk there. And so after a lot of conversation and stuff, with them having, here, if we put her in our room, she'd have her own bathroom. But then the three of us would all be sharing the guest bath, which would not be a big deal. We could simply do that. But with her medical appointments and all of that, I guess my wife and her sister decided that made more sense. And so, so it's going to be a little more burden now on my brother-in-law and his wife than it is for us. It's going to be extra gas expense for my wife to drive 30 minutes down there to help take care. But, that's the
That's
way,
nothing. I mean, that's
yeah.
worth the.
Yeah. So that's the way it's looking right now. And then she'll literally be a quarter mile from the hospital, maybe half mile, something at max,
That'll
something
be
like
good.
that.
Something
And
happens, she can be there quick.
right. Yeah. And
Don't even call
ambulances.
an ambulance. Just throw her in the truck.
You're right. Exactly. So, yeah. So
Wow.
anyway, that's the way it's all looking. But yeah,
Man, that's a lot.
it is, but it will be a much easier task to do. And I should say easier task. The task is still the same, whether my wife and her sister are here in Arizona. But if they're here, Tony and Kelly could say, "Hey, we need a date night," and me and my wife go down there and watch Mom.
Yeah.
We need a date night. We're like, "Hey, we're going to have this," so we could all tag team. Chris, Kelly get to sleep in their own beds, get to, be around their own pets and their own children and, husbands. They might want to see us too. So a little bit of normalcy mixed into the chaos. Whereas right now, they're down there sleeping in guest beds and everything is just, there's no normalcy for them. You know what I mean? So, and which they're not complaining about it, but you could just tell. My wife came home and I just want to veg out. I just want to chill. And so, we watched some movies. We did go to dinner one night and all, but it's just all she's thinking about.
Yeah. Well,
so
that's understandable. It's a lot to take in.
It is.
Lot to take on, lot to take in. So speaking of that kind of stuff, a lady at our church who is a matriarch who taught Sunday school for almost 60 years, taught piano, played organ, the whole 9 yards. My mentor, I tell you guys that I meet some guys for breakfast every Wednesday. Well, the guy that started that, who I meet for breakfast, it's his mom, passed away last week. And the funeral's tomorrow, Tuesday, as we're recording this Monday. And this one kind of hit me. When I was in ministry full time, she would write me like encouraging letters. She would write me, cards or whatnot, and just encourage me. And it was kind of hit me when it all happened. But so yeah, that's going on tomorrow. But speaking of bathrooms, and I talked on the podcast last week, which was just a couple days ago. And I haven't really talked to you, Tom, about it, but we're remodeling our bathroom. And it's been going pretty well. When you go back and listen to last week's episode, you'll hear this, but I've been laying LVL flooring wrong for years, and I just realized it this weekend. Yeah. Okay. Tom's giving me a face like, how do you lay it down? Yeah. So here's the deal. And I should have went and grabbed a piece to show you. When you've laid the LVL floor, right? Like
I did my entire house.
Right. So when you lay it, what I always did was I put the exposed tongue against the wall, and then I was trying to tuck the tongue underneath for years. Every time I laid floor, that's the way I did it. And I always had problems. Always had problems. And I've always hated laying floor. And I'm doing this bathroom. Now, here's an interesting thing. And I can tell that the Spirit of God is in me, and that, like, I've been reading the Bible daily for the last few years now. My faith journey, my spirituality is much stronger than it was, just a few years ago. 3-4 years ago, I'd have said some words and punch some holes in some walls. I would get so mad, and I'm not that kind of guy. Like, I'm a very calm, patient person, but when it comes to stuff like that, when it's messing up and I can't get it to work right, it makes me mad. I'll just say that. And I didn't this time. What happened was, let's see what had happened was, is I laid half the bathroom floor and was having problems, and I was like, I'm doing something wrong. I read the instructions, okay, I'm doing it right. That's if you know what the tongue and the groove side actually are. I assumed the tongue was what I thought it was and the groove was what I thought it was, and I was wrong. And so I get on YouTube and I'm watching some videos of these guys laying flooring. Tom's laughing his butt off right now. I'm watching these guys lay some flooring, and they never show it close up. But I'm like, that looks like the exposed tongue, or what I thought was the tongue, which would be the groove, is facing him. And he's like, he's setting the next one into that. I'm like, that's interesting. And then I looked at the boards, the LVL boards, and I looked at it, and I took two of them and I put them together that way. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And so I ripped the whole floor up. I tore it all up. I wasted about a half a box. I tore the whole floor up, and I laid the whole bathroom floor in half the time it took me to lay half the bathroom floor before. And this is only a 7x10 room. Like, it's not huge, right? And now I'm like, oh man, well, is there any more flooring I could lay? Like, this is kind of fun. Now that you know how to do it, like, you put it in, you slide it over, you put it down, bam, bam, snap, snap, you're done. I'm like, this is fantastic.
Oh my gosh, dude. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So, but the part about that is and why I'm sore, one, being on my hands and knees because I'm in office. I work in an office all day, but our toilet is in a 2-foot cubby. It's not to code. And if you're a big boy, you're not going to fit. You're going to have to go somewhere else. Like, it's just really tight. Well, I had to pull the toilet up so that I could lay flooring and put a new wax ring down and put the toilet back down. Well, that was a pain in the butt. You get a room. You can't get around it. I ended up, I wish I could have got video of this, straddling my legs. I'm tall. I'm 6'2", so I straddled my legs on my tippy toes around the back side of the bowl and lifted up from in between the bowl and the tank, and like walked, pull it straight up and walk. Oh man, it was a pain in the butt. And then to put it back, I had to have my wife help me. And what she did is she laid on the ground and she lined up the bolts because I couldn't see. You couldn't see the bolts. And so I lifted it up using like my bicep or what's the in your legs, the quads or something. Like, I'm lifting like that. Oh man, that was a chore. But anyways, got it all laid. All the flooring's done. Well, I gotta do the closet still. That's just like a few pieces, but started doing the wainscoting today. And then I got to the window and I'm like, I really got to trim this window out because we pulled the trim, pulled the windowsill, and the windowsill broke. To my surprise, the wall is very well insulated. There was insulation all the way around the window. There's no draft coming through, that's a good thing. But I needed to make a new sill, and I'll talk about that later in shop time. But man, I'll tell you what, I'm ready for this bathroom to be done. And to top it off, so if I had time, and if I would have had forethought, I would have taken a week of work off and did this, over a week, because then I would have built the vanity. But I just don't have time. And so we decided, well, let's get a nice one. You can buy nice ones they're expensive, but you can buy nice hardwood, wood, soft clothes and the marble top and all the stuff. And so we decided we're going to do that. I have the money. I don't have the time. It's just that balance that you have to play. And so we got on the app and we're looking. Home Depot has junk, but Lowe's has nicer stuff. And so we're looking on the app for Home Depot, and we're like, oh yeah, we like this one. Okay, yep. It says they got 4 in stock. Cool. So today we woke up real early, got the kids in the truck, and we headed up to Erie, which is about 45 minutes north of us, to go to Lowe's. It's the only Lowe's near us. And we get there, and I asked the guy on the side, hey, I want one of these in 48 inch. And he's like, we don't have 48 inch here. I'm like, what do you mean you don't have 48 inch? The app says you do. He's like, no, that's the distribution center. I'm like, okay, well, how long would it take to get here? He's like, well, let's get on and look. So he gets on and look, and he's like, I can have it delivered to your house for free tomorrow. I'm like, sure, that's fine. Gives me time to finish all the other stuff I want to do in the bathroom. And so we schedule it. I pay for it, and I get a call tonight to schedule the delivery. And the guy's like, I don't know why the app told you guys that this thing was able to be delivered today, but we ain't got none. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, it ain't gonna get there tomorrow. He's like, we'll have to reschedule. He's like, but I can't reschedule it. I'm gonna have to basically cancel it and put it in the system, and then you'll get another email that'll be rescheduled for next week. Oh my gosh. So now it's scheduled for a week from tomorrow, Tuesday the 24th or something. It's just a pain in my butt.
Dude, every time, I don't care if it's Home Depot or Lowe's, if I just the other day, I forget what it was that I go to Home Depot about, that you go online, it says, we got 27 available, pick up in 15, or ready for pickup in 15 minutes or whatever. So
Right.
you go there. No, we only have that you have to order that online. I was like, well, that's not what you mean to tell me y'all can't, as much money as you make, you can't hire a company to build a website that's accurate. I'm like,
no, that's
so frustrating.
That's exactly it.
It is.
So
man.
Little frustrating, but we've been washing our hands and brushing our teeth in the kitchen sink. We only have one bathroom. I'm hoping this time next year, where I'm sitting turns into a bathroom. Our master bedroom is huge, and we're gonna put a master closet and a master bath here, which means I got to take this setup. This is my office setup, and do something with it. So, but anywho, yeah. So that's the conundrum of the bathroom so far. But to my surprise, this house is old. It was built in the early 70s. No water damage around the toilet. No water damage behind the vanity. The walls are insulated well, because when I tore out the trim for the window, I bought foam, expecting, old house usually, I'm expecting to have to insulate around the window. Nope, it is solid. So far I'm happy with. I mean, shoot, that there's no mold, no water damage. The house that we had, our old house, was also built in like 68. And when we tore out the bathroom, we ended up gutting the whole bathroom. It was just like, there's all kinds of damage and stuff here, and we just gutted the whole thing. So that's a happy surprise, I guess, if you will.
Yeah. I'd much rather have a house that's built in the 60s or 70s than I had one built post 80s. That
Right.
Number one, I bet you, if you go up under your house and measure the lumber, it's true 2 by, not 1.5 inches to what we call dimensional lumber now. But they built them out of better quality materials, and I just think they did a better job back then. Everything. Yeah,
it was fascinating when we redid. We took out a 20-foot load bearing wall in our first house in Tennessee, and the house was built in the 60s. And when I opened up that wall, they had enclosed 2 pocket doors at one point, because it was one door on one side of the living room, one door on the other side of the living room. It was a wall in between, and you could do a wrap around and went into the kitchen and dining room. And so we decided to open it up, and I started tearing out this wall. I'm like, what are these? And they were old pocket doors that were in there. But the 2x4 lumber inside the interior wall was true 2x4. And when I hit it with a sledgehammer, it shattered because it was so dense. Like I was swinging. It wasn't just like tap tap, but like it wasn't like it made you. It reminded you of like oak or something. Like it was a hard, dense. The rings on the 2x4, like the growth rings are really tight, super hard lumber, and I was impressed. Like, wow, this stuff is pretty dense. But yeah, to your point, underneath our house, our house is built on a crawl space, and it's overbuilt because back then stuff was cheap. Like you might as well. I think our joists are 2x10s or 2x12s or something stupid, sitting on piers, like brick piers, and then a brick foundation around it. I mean, so yeah, it's definitely a well-built house. So
That's awesome. Very cool.
yeah. So, but anywho, so any shop time for you lately, or we'll talk about that later. I got some shop time to talk about.
Very cool.
You got none?
So, dude, I have installed signs every single day. And then my wife came home for a few days and just spent time with her. And then today I installed bus route, and tomorrow I got a big sign. As of right now, I have 2 tentative installs later in the week, but they're not firmed up yet. We're waiting on contractors till space is ready. So I may end up getting some shop time later this week while my wife will be gone again. So if I don't have installs, I'll have shop time because we're supposed to get a bunch of rain the rest of the week, which we need. So yeah. Well,
later after we dig into the word here, I want to ask you. I have some questions for you on this project I'm working on. So I know you've built some houses and done some remodeling. So, but anywho, want to say thank you to the Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to support us, you can do so on patreon.com/Faith Talks Wood. Brother Tom, what you got on your heart today?
Yeah, man. So I'm going to read a little bit longer passage today than what we normally read on the podcast, but I just feel like we need to encompass the whole entire story. And it just really, I think so often us as men, and maybe you ladies listening might feel the same way. Like you feel like, God, I've done so much bad stuff in my life. Like, how could God use me? Like I've just been a total screw up. And, obviously we get in the comparison things. Well, at least I didn't do that. But quite often Satan tries to make me feel like all the crap in my past, makes me unusable. But God can use anybody. Today we're going to read a story. It's one of my favorite in the Bibles. I love David. And if we went back earlier in Scripture, God said that David was a man after his own heart. And so when you hear that, you think, man, this is a guy up on a pedestal that, and when we think of David, what do we automatically think about? We think of him with a slingshot and a rock, taking down the big guy and the hero. And, Saul killed his thousands, David killed his 10,000s, and just this mighty warrior doing everything perfect. But David wasn't perfect. And so we're going to hop into 2 Samuel, and I'm going to read the entire chapter 11 and the first few verses of chapter 13 to kind of sum it up.
What version are you in?
I'm in the NLT just because it's what I've been reading in. So this is the story of David and Bathsheba. In the spring of the year, when kings normally go out to war. And so I want you to remember that when kings normally go out to war. David sent Joab and the Israelite army to fight the Ammonites. They destroyed the Ammonite army and laid siege to the city of Rabbah. However, David stayed behind in Jerusalem. So he's a king. They normally go out to war, but David decided to stay behind. And so, first off, this starts this story off. When we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, we avoid trouble. When we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, we open up the door for trouble to come in. We continue on. Late one afternoon, after his midday rest, David got out of bed and was walking on the roof of the palace. As he looked out over the city, he noticed a woman of unusual beauty taking a bath. He sent someone to find out who she was, and he was told, "She is Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam and the wife of Uriah the Hittite." Then David sent messengers to get her. And when she came to the palace, he slept with her. She had just completed the purification rites after having her menstrual period. Then she returned home. Later, when Bathsheba discovered that she was pregnant, she sent David a message saying, "I'm pregnant." Then David sent word to Joab, "Send me Uriah the Hittite." So Joab sent him to David. When Uriah arrived, David asked him how Joab and the army were getting along and how the war was progressing. Then he told Uriah, "Go on home and relax." David even sent a gift to Uriah after he had left the palace, but Uriah didn't go home. He slept that night at the palace entrance with the king's palace guard. When David heard that Uriah had not gone home, he summoned him and asked, "What's the matter? Why didn't you go home last night after being away for so long?" Uriah replied, "The ark of the armies of Israel and Judah are living in tents, and Joab, my master's men, are camping in the open fields. How could I go home to wine and dine and sleep with my wife? I swear that I would never do such a thing." "Well, stay here today," David told him, "and tomorrow you may return to the army." So Uriah stayed in Jerusalem that day and the next. Then David invited him to dinner and got him drunk. But even then, he couldn't get Uriah to go home to his wife. Again, he slept at the palace entrance with the king's palace guard. So the next morning, David wrote a letter to Joab and gave it to Uriah to deliver. The letter instructed Joab, "Station Uriah on the front lines where the battle is fiercest, then pull back so that he will be killed." So Joab assigned Uriah to a spot close to the city wall where he knew the enemy's strongest men were fighting. And when the enemy soldiers came out of the city to fight, Uriah the Hittite was killed along with several other Israelite soldiers. Then Joab sent a battle report to David. He told his messenger to report all the news of the battle to the king, but he might get angry and ask, "Why did the troops go so close to the city? Didn't they know there would be shooting from the walls? Wasn't Abimelech, son of Gideon, killed at the Baz by a woman who threw a millstone down to him from the wall? Why would you get close to the wall? Tell him Uriah the Hittite was killed too." So the messenger went to Jerusalem and gave a complete report to David. "The enemy came out against us in the open fields," he said, "and as we chased them back to the city gate, the archers on the wall shot arrows at us. Some of the king's men were killed, including Uriah the Hittite." "Well, tell Joab not to be discouraged." David said, "The sword devours this one today and that one tomorrow. Fight harder next time and conquer the city." When Uriah's wife heard that her husband was dead, she was mourned for him. When the period of mourning was over, David sent to her and brought her to the palace, and she became one of his wives. Then she gave birth to a son, but the Lord was displeased with what David had done. So the Lord sent Nathan the prophet to tell David the story. There were two men in a certain town. One was a rich one, and one was poor. The rich man owned a great many sheep and cattle. The poor man owned nothing but one little lamb he had bought. He raised the little lamb, and it grew up with his children. It ate the man's own plate and drank from his cup. He cuddled it in his arms like a baby daughter. One day, a guest arrived at the home of the rich man, but instead of killing an animal from his own flock or herd, he took the poor man's lamb and killed it and prepared it for his guests. David was furious. As surely as the Lord lives, he vowed, any man who would do such a thing deserves to die. He must repay 4 lambs to the poor man for the one he stole for having no pity. Then Nathan said to David, you are that man. The Lord, the God of Israel, says, I anointed you king of Israel and saved you from the power of Saul. I gave you your master's house and his wives and the kingdoms of Israel and Judah. And if that had not been enough, I would have given you much, much more. Why then have you despised the word of the Lord and done this horrible deed? For you have murdered Uriah the Hittite with the sword of the Ammonites and stolen his wife. From this time on, your family will live by the sword because you have despised me by taking Uriah's wife to be your own. This is what the Lord says, because of what you have done, I will cause your own household to rebel against you. I'll give your wives to another man before your very eyes, and he will go to bed with them in public view. You did it secretly, but I will make this happen openly in the sight of all of Israel. Then David confessed to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. Nathan replied, yes, but the Lord has forgiven you, and you won't die for this sin. So, man, here's David, the guy who we all think of as a hero, taking down the giant, conquering armies, man after God's own heart. What's the first thing he does? Well, first thing he did was didn't go to war doing what he should have been doing, the duties that were for him. But the next major sin there, yes, in today's terms, he watched porn. He stood on the balcony and looked at this beautiful woman, Bathsheba, bathing. So in today's terms, he was watching porn. What's the next thing he does? He envies that lady, sins for her, brings her here. And now I want you to remember, it does not say that he raped her. She came there. And remember, it says earlier in the passage that David was a handsome young lad. So Bathsheba has some fault here too, because she could have said no. But they fall into sin and they commit adultery. They're not married at the point. He sleeps with another man's wife. Then, what's he do? To try and cover it up, he lies. It brings Uriah home, tries to get him to go home and spend time with his wife so that the cover-up could be that he got her pregnant and not David. And then when he couldn't get him to go home, Uriah is the one doing the upright thing, sleeps on the steps and says, I couldn't possibly go home and wine and dine and enjoy time with my wife when all the other troops are in tents out in the field. And so here's this guy that's an upright man. And then what's David do? He sends him to the front lines and gets him murdered. Didn't murder himself, but arranged it all. So this is basically the same thing as murder. And then, of course, he goes on after the mourning period and does the righteous thing and makes Bathsheba his wife, and they have that child. If we read on into the story, that child dies. But the key to this whole story is look at all these awful things he did. He watched porn. He cheated on his other wives. He had adultery with some other man's wife. Then he has the man murdered. I mean, Guys, like I can't think of much worse than sleeping with your neighbor's wife and then murdering your neighbor. Uh, and but we go on down, and then what does it say? When he confessed that, I have sinned against the Lord. So even after all that awful stuff that he did, yes, but the Lord has forgiven you. So, guys, I don't care what you have done in your past, God forgives it. All you have to do is ask him. You got to confess it to him, and he will forgive you. So, can God use somebody that commits this kind of sin, porn, adultery, murder? If we hop over into the first chapter of Matthew and read the lineage of Jesus, we know that David and Bathsheba gave birth to a son, Solomon. Solomon gave birth, and on down several more generations comes Jesus. So even with everything that David had done, he used David to bring his son into the word and bring that one to bring another, and so on until we got down to Jesus being born. So no matter what it is you've done, if you've been addicted to drugs, been addicted to alcohol, cheated on your wife, addicted to porn, murdered somebody, whatever it is you've done, God can forgive you. All you got to do is ask, and he can use you for his good. So that's just what do you think about all this, Will?
Thanks a lot. Yeah, it's interesting too. We have to remember that culture that she may have not had a choice. I mean, back then he's king. He said, "You look good. Come here." That's just kind of what it was. So there's that. But he abused his power. Like you said, he should have been, so that's an interesting point too. Most guys who struggle with porn should have been doing something else. Always. And don't tell me, because I know, don't tell me if they're in something else you should have been done. You should have been doing. That's the problem. So you start getting in the slippery slope of sin, and then it goes down this whole rabbit hole that that is dangerous and will, man, what he did, not only did he do that, but then he did everything he could to try to hide it. He tried to take things into his own hands. And how many of us know when we try to take things into our own hands, it never goes as planned. And then, he's ultimately has him killed, and he takes Bathsheba as one of his wives, and it's this whole thing. But to your point, the reality is that nobody is beyond God's redemption. And that's something that I think we forget, and one of the things too that it really, I don't say trigger, but it really irks me is this whole idea that, once you've given your life to Christ, the Bible says that you are now an heir. An heir, and you are now, royal priesthood. You are a holy people. You've been given a power of the Holy Spirit. But then we downgrade ourselves to say that we're just dirty, rotten sinners. That's not the truth. Do you struggle with sin? Is there temptation in your life? Yes, but your identity isn't caught up in that. So, like you said, no matter what you've done, it's not about what you've done. It's about what God has done for you. And so when you place yourself in that position of being an heir of God and not a slave to sin, you were a slave to sin, and now you're an heir through the blood of Christ. Now you're an overcomer. You're no longer entrapped by this. And the enemy wants you to think that you are. he wants you to think that you're you're no better than this. This is what all you can, you're always gonna do this. Whatever whatever the lie is. Um, that's a bunch of garbage. And so, yeah, we're never too far beyond God's redemption.
Amen. And I'm going to tell you, I finished that book that Shane wrote, Jesus Frees Us. Guys, if you've not already ordered a copy of it, go onto Amazon and order a copy of Jesus Frees Us by Shane McMurray and read it now. Like,
That's
it
good.
is powerful, dude. So powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. So, man, good stuff. So, I have a question for you. I'll tell you about my shop time after I ask you this question. So, I made a new windowsill for this window. I made it out of a piece of sassafras because I had it in the shop. It was, available, and it was, I could use it. What is the best way to attach that thing? Because it's going to get sandwiched in between the other trim, but the old one was finish nailed into the window frame. My fear is like I've got a pneumatic nailer that it'll split it. That'll split the sassafras just because it's pretty thin. Because I'd have to show it to you. I'm just afraid that it would split it if I tried to nail down into that.
What size is it? A finish nailer you have?
It's not a finish nailer. It's not a brad nailer. It's a 18 gauge.
18 gauge. Well, the gauges of the steel typically
or 16. Well,
like a pin nailer is typically 23. Most of the time, Brad's 18. Finish nails, I think, are 16.
16. It's a 16. Yeah, it's a finish
most
nailer.
likely you have a finish nailer, and that's what I would use. It's not gonna.
Okay.
It shouldn't split.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I would. That's
Right.
what I did. I encased all the windows in my entire house. We built it,
Right.
and all the windowsills, and I used my finish nailer.
Yeah, and like when I put the trim in, that's what I'm gonna use as the finish nailer. But I'm just afraid that this hardwood is gonna split. When I try to finish nail through it.
It shouldn't.
Right.
Are you painting it, or are you staining this?
No.
The staining?
No, it's just natural. I put Willie's wood finish on it, and that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, that would be the only thing is with a 16 gauge, you are gonna have the nail
holes. Right.
And I have never worked with sassafras, so most woods.
I've got some of those really, really, really thin, like cabinet screws. The head is barely bigger than the shaft of the screw. I thought about pre-drilling and just using 3 of those.
That's going to be a bigger head than 16 gauge finish nail.
Right. So
I'd go to finish nail.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, I got some shop time today. I know. The gates of hell are not freezing over. It was a necessity. So, like I said, we pulled this. My wife actually did it. She pulled the trim off out of the whole bathroom because Saturday I ripped the old vanity out, and then started laying the flooring. But she pulled all the trim, and I told her, I said, if you can try to salvage the sill, because I wanted to probably just trace it, and I knew I was going to make a new one. And it just didn't. It was old, and it just split. It's like old red oak or something, and just split. But I was able to salvage enough of it so I could see, how it was built and stuff. And so I took this piece of sassafras, didn't have to mill it. It was almost right on the right thickness. and then I had to the way it was actually it's right out here in the bathroom. I'm gonna go grab it and I'll edit this out. I'm gonna go grab it real quick and show you because I can show you with the camera what it is.
Sounds good.
All right, so here is the sill. It is this gorgeous piece of sassafras, but if you look down it, you can see that profile.
Oh, yeah.
So this would be the top, and then this part, the thin part, slides in like around under the window, and that's what I would have to nail through is that thin part. That's what it was on the old one. So you can see it's just that step. So that sits on like the window frame, and then they had just bam, bam, bam on the old one. And then obviously your trim goes up underneath of it and helps hold it there too.
Yeah.
So, anywho, I just don't know. I'm
Let me ask you
nervous
this.
about splitting this.
Before you go nailing that, and I don't want to be the one telling you it won't split. Do you have a leftover scrap of that piece of sassafras?
Yeah, I've got these
Right,
cutout corners.
Go out in your shop
Yeah,
and take your finish nailer and finish nail it into a scrap board and just see if
Yeah.
it splits and do a test. But
yeah, it's good.
it's pretty
That's a
good.
good
To me,
idea.
it looks a lot like oak. But I have
Yeah,
never
it's-
worked with sassafras, so I didn't know what it looked like.
And then I put a nice profile on it.
Yeah, looks good.
So, yeah, the thing about sassafras is it smells good. It smells kind of like root beer.
Yeah,
So-
I just never have had a chance to work with it. So
Yeah, it's pretty popular up here in the north. But so I had to take this piece of sassafras. I had to cut out this, this profile, and then I had to.
do you
I didn't use a dado blade.
router? How'd you do the data?
No, I used a table saw. So what I did.
Oh yeah,
this is kind of funny. So I'll try to post a picture of this on Instagram so people can look and see what we're talking about. But basically, there's what would you call that? A dado?
Yeah.
Or like a
yeah. Technically, when a dado is in the center of a board and a rabbit
right.
is on the
That's a rabbit.
Technically,
Yeah.
that would be a rabbit. I always call them both the dado. It's
Right. So so the
bad
rabbit.
habit.
So there's a rabbit on the back end of this thing. And it was funny because I cut out the thin part or like the shallow part on the table saw, and then I was going to flip it up on the side and then just cut it down. But because I don't have a zero clearance insert on my table saw, that piece would have fallen. It would have fallen right into the blade, and I'm like, And it was funny because my wife was just coming back inside to grab something, and I said, "This is about to be sketchy as crap," and she's like, "Well, then don't do it." So I ended up just making multiple passes.
Yeah.
And then I cleaned it up by doing what I was going to do before, but just with a blade's width, so it's nice and clean and it's not all jagged from the non-dado blade.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So I did some woodworking. I used the bandsaw. That's what I used to cut out those. Used the table saw. Used the router to put a profile on it. Sanded it. I actually hand sanded this. I didn't get the sander out. I just got it real nice and hand sanded it. So, but yeah.
Very cool.
So that is the woodworking that I got to do. It felt good actually. Felt good to get out in the shop.
I'm hoping I'll get some shop time this week because we're supposed to get rain tomorrow and then again Thursday and Friday. So depending upon if an interior install comes up into the week, but as of right now, I just have a gut feeling I'm not going to be doing that exterior install on Thursday. So if that's
Yeah.
the case, that means I'll have a day at home and spin in the shop because it'd be raining. Can't go outside on the farm. The only woodworking I did, I finished pruning my fruit trees. Last week I did all my peach trees, and then I did this weekend. I went out and also a few days before my wife got home, I got the apricot trees and plum trees done. So
That's crazy. You're already doing that stuff. It's been in the 40s here, and we've been like in t-shirts. 'Cause
dude, it's
to
been
us, I mean, it's been
55
in the
here.
zero.
It's crazy.
Wow.
Man. Yeah, and now it's supposed to flip. So it's supposed to be back down freezing this weekend, and hopefully all this rain that's down here is forecast to be snow up at the mountains. So
There you go.
that we need it bad, dude. We need it bad. So I'm hoping they get pummeled up there.
Yeah, it's we haven't had snow in a while. We had some bad ice. There was like some rain came through, and then it turned around. There was a little bit of snow, but it all froze. It was a mess. But yeah, talk about farm stuff. So we got 4 ducks, and we're fairly certain one of those is a male. I bought female ducks, and female ducks are much more expensive. Like a male duck to get the chicks is like $10. It's like 20 for a female because they sex them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird thing. I don't know.
Yep.
Anywho, because we want eggs, and so we're only getting 2-3 eggs a day. And so my wife starts wondering. She's like, "I wonder if one of those is a male duck." And with khaki Campbells, you can't tell it. I mean, they're all the same. But there is a way you can tell, and it's funny. It's by their quack.
Really?
Female ducks have your traditional duck quack. Just sounds like a duck. Male ducks are raspy and squeaky. And we think we got a squeaker out there. And the other way you could tell is if you take one of the eggs and put it in an incubator.
I was going to say, but you
Right.
don't have an incubator, do you?
No, we don't have an incubator. So yeah, a little irritated. Like, come on.
Now,
and I
you don't
actually might email them because they're guaranteed. And so they'll walk us through steps to try to help figure it out. And then they might refund us or something if it is.
Yeah. Like $10 is going to make a difference.
Right.
But like chicken eggs, you could take a flashlight and hold
Right.
the egg up to a flashlight. And you look in there and see if the egg is
Right.
got a sperm in it or whatever.
Right.
It's not sperm anymore but you know what I mean.
Right.
Like
right,
if it's a
right.
fertile egg. I'm guessing there's probably a way to do that with the goose
Yeah.
eggs.
Yeah, it might be. But anyways, I told my wife, she was sending me pictures. She had grabbed one of the ducks and was holding it. And ducks won't quack when you hold them. They're quiet as anything. She's like, I said, well, get up underneath there and see if it's a boy. And she's like, it doesn't work like that. She's like, they're like dogs. It kind of hides in there. I'm like, well, then you're going to have to get intimate with that duck and figure it out. She's like, I don't care that much. So
The only reason you can tell with chickens is the roosters get a bigger thing up on whatever
Right.
the flappy thing on top of the eggs, and then these little things that come out the side of their I forget what you call that. I'm at a loss for words, but when they basically kind of when they hop on the hen to hold them in place while they're doing their business. But
Yeah. So anyways, that's the duck conundrum. And now that it's starting to get warm out, they are making a mess back there. They're finding all the mud they can find, and they're making it bigger. So it's a mess. But we have a second whole fence set. We're gonna double the size of their area because they just need more space.
We got enough property. You could dig a small pond, man.
Well, that's also something my wife and I talked about is putting a pond in back there. Just a little 8x10 or something. Just, I could probably dig most of it with the tractor bucket. It doesn't have to be, super deep or anything. But with a duck pond, you really want to have power to put a filtration in because they poop in the water and its whole thing.
Yeah.
And so
it'll be green in
so-
a split second.
Oh yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, we talked about putting a little pond back there. Worst case is you can buy little koi ponds, like the plastic, thick
Yeah,
plastic
but for
liner.
4 ducks, that ain't nothing, man.
Right. Right.
Yeah. But with all that
So,
land
anyways.
you got, man, dig you a big pond, put some fish in there, let the ducks
Yeah.
roll.
Yeah, I need an excavator is what I need. A little mini X would be fun.
I
Yeah,
bet you somebody at your church has got one.
Oh yeah, there's a couple people got them. So anywho, all right, man. Well, it's getting late. I'm gonna go jump in the shower and get to bed. And until next week, I'm Will from Flatwood Acres.
I'm Tom from Mountain Valley Maker.